Battlefield Podcast.
Hello and welcome to Battlefield Podcast, episode 143. I am Ole, aka Chalk1, and with me this week we have, of course, Tim's here again, as always. How are you doing, Tim?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. How was your New Year's? We're now in 2013. It's been almost a month, I think, since we did our last episode.
New Year's was...
Anything good?
Not really. I mean, you know, when you're an adult, you don't get any like cool toys or anything anymore. You just get clothes. Yeah. But New Year's was good. Christmas was great. Got to see some family. Can't complain. How was yours?
It was good, actually. It was fairly quiet. It seems like a long time since we last did a podcast, but that's only because we've been doing all the live streams and stuff. So we've been actually really busy and always talking with the community. But it's been a while since we've had an official podcast that's going to show up on iTunes. So. But I mean, this time of year with the holidays and everyone at DICE being gone and stuff, there's usually not a whole lot of news coming out anyways.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, playing a lot of Aftermath for quite a while, which has been, I think, one of the more interesting DLCs, I think.
Yeah, we've had some awesome live streams, too. Doing a lot of live streaming lately.
Yeah, you're getting popular over there, sir.
Yeah, right?
So we figured this week we'll have some guests on that do something similar to us, that do a podcast called Battle Chatter. And I'm just going to go through and introduce these guys. So we'll have Bill, a.k.a. Rumpo. How are you doing?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Pretty good. And your partner in crime is Patrick, a.k.a. Viper, who we don't have on video, but I think his voice more than makes up for it. So,
greetings and salutation. Happy New Year, boys.
So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about what Battle Chatter is? For those of our viewers that maybe haven't heard about it yet, what is it that you guys do exactly? I don't know who wants to take the lead on that, but
I'll let the voice handle it.
the voice. Well, it's just like you said. It's kind of what you do. We, Bill and I have been gaming together for, it seems like the better part of a decade. So. It just kind of happened. I was in radio for pretty much my entire adult life, and I ended up doing a podcast over at urgentfury.com. I did that for it seems like about 100 years. But anyway, Rumpo and I started doing the commentaries for Battlefield 3. It kind of became a big deal. A little deal, but a big deal to us. And it was one of those things where we just kind of we have such a natural chemistry, and like I said, I've been in radio most of my life, so I know that it's really rare when you come across somebody that you have this really good chemistry with. So I thought, man, we need to take advantage of this, and people seem to like it, blah blah blah. So long story short, we decided, like, hey, let's do a podcast, and it'll be Battlefield centric or tech, We'll focus on tactical shooters and the genre in general, and that's kind of how it all started.
Very cool. And so what was that? You guys have a YouTube channel as well under a different name, right? What is that called again?
Well,
we have
we're
stumbling on each other. This happens to us all the time. We have youtube.com/fireteamhooligan, which is where we play Medal of Honor and Battlefield 3 videos. And we have a second channel that we originally started with, but right now it's undergoing a little reconstruction.
Cool. Yeah, I think the Fireteam Hooligan channel is quite good, actually. I've enjoyed some of those videos. You guys, we talked a little bit before the show. You guys play on PS3, and how have you guys been enjoying the latest DLC, in Aftermath in specific? Good, bad, indifferent?
I like it. I like anytime a game can expand. I mean, it's and it seems like that's the formula now. A game you bring a game out of the box, and the game that you get out of the box is not going to be the same game that you end up with even 6 months down the road. And I got to say that Battlefield 3, which I'm sure that DICE and EA, their strategy was long term from the beginning, but I think they've done a really good job with it, man. They've given, I'm a tank guy, so I was really excited about I was really excited about Armored Kill, but it was kind of a letdown. I was expecting a lot more from them, but Aftermath I think is really cool. It's a really cool concept. The fact that right in the middle of any random game, you might start having tremors and which really does. It affects the game. It's kind of crazy that you can be right in the middle of a gunfight with somebody, and then a aftershock begins, and you have no way of aiming or anything else. But yeah, I think they've done a really good job with the DLC and all the expansions that they've done.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're what I'm kind of angling at is this whole story that's been going on a little bit. I don't know if it was started by Shusty Bang, or at least that's where I first saw it being talked about on Twitter. This whole thing as to whether or not there's going to be more DLCs after Endgame. And I suppose we can talk about Endgame as well, because the other thing that's happened since we've last been on the air was a teaser trailer for premium members for Endgame has been released. Which, I don't know, Tim, should we talk about that first briefly, maybe, before we talk about speculative DLCs coming next year?
Well, let's talk about the things that are concrete and not the things that are wafting around the air. So yeah, go ahead. No, well, with Endgame, we did see a premium trailer release. It was a quick little snippet. It was 15 seconds long, not even. I don't know if we want to go into the details of the trailer, but from what we've seen is some new things. A new vehicle is being added to the battlefield, and we all know what it is. It's the dirt bike. But as for the map-wise, the map that they showed off, we're not sure what the name is, but it kind of just looks like another map from Armored Kill. It doesn't look like anything different. It doesn't look new. I mean, we can't really, I can't pick at it, from only seeing just, two different angles. But there was nothing that really stood out that was like, wow, it isn't the New York City battlefield that we thought it was going to be, or it just looks like in the middle of the desert somewhere with some hills in the background.
Yeah, I think that there was some hope for people that these might be city maps in a North American city like New York or something like that, with tanks rolling down New York City, because some people had alluded to that and then speculated. And so, but like you said, it's been a really short trailer. Have you guys have obviously seen it? What have you guys made of it so far? I don't know. What do you think, Phil?
I've seen the trailer, and that was my initial thoughts were the dirt bike, the excitement over the dirt bike, and I agree. It definitely kind of looks like a map that was basically plucked from Armored Kill. But I have a hard time speculating on trailers. I know a lot of people can do videos where they slow it down to like 0.25 times the speed of the actual trailer, and then they're like, I think I see a black dot over there. That is definitely a stealth bomber, and it's just not something that I can do. But I did see a dirt bike with C4 attack a helicopter, and if it's the last thing I do on Battlefield, that is going to happen.
I started to say that's pretty much all you need. They're geniuses over there. They're like, hey, I got an idea. The whole trailer will be a dirt bike with C4 on it, and everybody's cheering and clapping and going for lunch. I can just imagine that's how that meeting went. But
yeah, it's definitely one of those things that people will do. I mean, when we first heard about the quads, everyone's like, yeah, sweet, we're going to have those again from Bad Company 2. So you're going to have C4 on those, and we've seen some pretty cool clips of those. But they don't. I don't know. They probably don't jump as high as dirt bikes. I don't know. It should be interesting.
I think it's going to be a mess. There's just going to be C4 bikes all over the place. And then apparently you can pop wheelies on them. So you're going to see a bunch of dudes with C4 on the back popping wheelies all the way down the street going after a tank. I think it's going to be funny.
It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to control. I don't think I'm trying to think of any other game that I've played that's similar to Battlefield that would have had a dirt bike or a motorbike in it.
Grand Theft Auto. It's not similar to Battlefield, but it's the only other time I could think of any type of motorcycle or anything you could do. Like Free World, almost.
That's true. It's true. It might work like that. It should be interesting. Yeah. But yeah, the maps, I mean, such a short trailer. Who knows? And I agree with you, Bill. I've seen a lot of people analyze trailers and stuff like that, and it's like, wow, that's a lot of effort to spend onto really, really guessing like, wildly here. And
I think somebody should do follow-up YouTube videos of all the different commentators that speculate and almost pass off things like that as fact after the DLC is released. So go back to all those trailers that people have released and analyzed and be like, and you were wrong about absolutely everything and and things like that, because it to me it's almost that type of news just doesn't entertain me at all, because it's not news at all. So,
but oddly enough, those type of videos do really, really well.
Yeah, they do, and it makes me question the human race a little bit. But
indeed,
well, I think it's because people think that they're going to get something that nobody else has. It's that thing of, the idea, because I mean we see it all the time, especially in gaming. Somebody gets some information, and if they go to their whatever their forum hangout is, they go to that forum and they want to be the first guy to say, "Oh, check it out, bros! I just got this," and blah blah blah, and they post up the video or they post up the trailer. But it's just like movies and stuff like that. I hate that when you see a movie and the movie, the best parts of the movie are what you saw in the trailer. I think that trailers are definitely misleading at the very best. So.
Oh yeah. It's like that where you think it's going to be an action-packed movie, and the only thing you saw in the trailer was the 2 action scenes, and then you go and sit down for 3 hours, like, well, what the hell happened? And it's always at the end.
I just saw the campaign, and I love Will Ferrell, I love Zach Galifianakis, but basically, and I thought the movie was fantastic because I love those 2 guys, but the entire film was the best parts of the movie were what you basically saw in the trailer.
That's frustrating.
I hate when they do that, because you can usually tell. You watch the trailer and you're like, "Yep, that's all going to be in the movie. Those are all the best parts right there," and I don't really need to see it anymore.
Well, and I guess that's the whole point of having trailers, is to create buzz and stuff like that. So
yeah,
you should probably make sure that your trailer, be it for a movie or a game, isn't the best part of it. You know what I mean? Like it's good to tease people, but if they then go and watch that movie or buy that downloadable content and literally, like, if I end up playing Aftermath and it's just the addition of a dirt bike, premium or no premium, I'm going to be like, this is a ripoff. I mean, I know that's not going to happen, but it wouldn't be the first time it's happened in a movie or game.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, there'll be more details to come on what's going to be an Endgame. Obviously, the dirt bike was the big thing that everyone speculated about, so they just put it out right in front, and everybody knows. I have a feeling that if they don't include new weapons, there's going to be a riot somewhere.
Holy shit!
I would assume that there will be some. There would have to be.
It's going to be a rock instead of a grenade. You're just going to throw a rock.
It's actually just going to be the expo on top of the EOD bot. I'm like, there you go. You got a new weapon.
Oh my god.
That's a 2-hour conversation right there.
The modified EOD bot must get 30 kills with the modified EOD bot.
I have a buddy that is about ready to go to therapy over the fact that he needs to get kills in the modified Vodnik. It might as well be the EOD bot for him, because we drove that thing around for like an hour, and he would shoot somebody, hit markers out the wazoo, and then some guy would just run around the corner and shoot him with his M1911 and kill a guy. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say what cracks me up about that whole thing is he spends 30 minutes, like every map we play, he spends 30 minutes going, "Is this the modified Vodnik? Is this the modified Vodnik?" You're like, "No, no."
I've actually gotten a Vodnik and was driving around like, I'm going to get those kills. I'm like, you realize this is just a Vodnik. This is not a modified Vodnik. He's like, what's the difference? I'm like, well, the other one's modified. He's like, how's it modified? I'm like, I really don't know, but it's modified.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, when they have those assignments, we talked a little bit about this earlier, some of the assignments and the things that you have to get are just ridiculous. And they just sort of invite people to boosting or arranging other people to help them out and doing it. I mean, there's still ones that I'm working on, which is getting the equipment destroys with the EOD bot. It's like, why? That never happens. These scenarios, they don't ever come up in regular Battlefield play.
Yeah, they make you go out of the way to not play the objective, not do anything but try to do that, and you're a waste to the team.
And that's what upsets me about the assignments, though, is a lot of times I think that they're based off of data, as if they look at the data and say, well, nobody uses this weapon, so let's make a ridiculous assignment where you have to get 500 kills, so now everyone has to use this gun. And I'm running around with this gun going, this is ridiculous. Like, we were talking about, and it doesn't matter what gun I name, someone's going to say, well, everyone uses that. But, for myself, I never use any of the SCAR weapons except for an assignment. And it just drives me nuts because I don't want to use them, but I'm a little OCD and I got to get the assignments.
I sort of say you're a completionist who is a touch OCD, so it's fun for me to kind of watch because I am definitely not a completionist. I mean, but I just kind of stand off to the side and watch him drive himself crazy. He's like, I've got to throw this monkey off the roof of this building in order to get this. Crazy.
That's a fact right there.
Yeah.
But you're totally right because like the SCAR L, how many assignments have you seen with the SCAR L? And every time it's still like, well, this is a shitty gun. No way around it. They just don't care.
Please use the SCAR L, please.
I actually got the assignment for the EOD bot with the destroying the equipment the other night, and I realized like I didn't even know what the assignment gave me, and it's a camo for a weapon that I never use, and I'm just going like, really? Like I just went through that to do this, and now I'm in the middle of destroying 20 pieces of enemy equipment with a grenade. So I'll come up on a radio beacon, and I'll throw my grenade and stand there and wait, and then some guy will walk up with a pistol and shoot it and run back up the stairs, and I'm just like, come on, man. Like, could you just leave it?
He'll threaten
at DICE, somebody's laughing right now because they're like, I told you this was going to happen if we did
this. We've almost, it's almost been detrimental to our relationship because I'm pretty sure he's threatened to break up with me at least 4 or 5 times since this whole assignment thing. He's like, if you don't come over here right now, if you don't spawn on me, I'm taking you off my friends list.
I have definitely threatened people before. If somebody kills me more than twice in a row, it then becomes this game is no longer PTFO. If you don't drop everything you're doing and walk over here and kill this person in the most humiliating fashion, you are gone from Facebook, you're gone from Twitter, you're gone from Skype, you're gone from everything. Like, I won't take your phone calls. It's over. Like, somebody murder this guy right now. And then I'll change my mind and be like, if you kill him and don't leave him for me, then same thing applies. We're no longer friends. So.
Yeah, see, I don't mind if the reward for some of the assignments are the dog tags. At least they're somewhat cool or whatever. But weapon camos, first of all, they're always for weapons I never use in the first place. And they're really just the same. It's like, oh, now we get that camouflage that we already have on this weapon. We now get it on that weapon. Woohoo.
But thank Lord there's nothing pink. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be the day that I'm like, well, my online gaming life is over.
So you don't like the Medal of Honor pink camo?
You know what? I know what they're going for, but no, it's like, to me, they're trying to be extremely realistic in every aspect of the game, and then there's a pink camo, and I'm like, all right, you had me. I was like, this is cool. You're trying to create that realism, and then you came out with a pink camo.
But it's not just a subtle pink either. It's like this big fluorescent, hi, pink camo.
Hey, everybody! I'm gonna tease you with my gun. Gonna shoot you, not gonna shoot you, gonna shoot you. I don't even know what that means.
That was uncalled for, but go ahead.
Don't ask, don't tell, brother.
But yeah, that was interesting because Tim and I, we went into, we both played, note the past tense, Warfighter on PC.
Yes.
We had to obviously try out the patch and the new DLC for that when it came out. And the pink camo was just one of those things that's like, wow, okay, I'm going to have to try just to see it, but that's ridiculous. And do you guys play Warfighter on PS3?
We do.
We do. I love it. I'll preface this whole conversation with, I love it. But go ahead.
I love the game. It's just sad because the PC side of it is dead.
Yeah.
The servers are gone.
It's the same thing on consoles, man. I don't know if it's. Bill and I talked about this the other night. I don't know if it's matchmaking or what the problem is, but we get in. We literally go in to try to find a game, and they throw us into Chitral compound with nobody else in the map, and we'll be like, "Well, what's going on here? Why did they just throw us in an empty room? That doesn't make sense." Yeah. And I know a lot of it has to do with mode and this, that, and the other, but it just seems like nobody is playing. I guess there's not enough people playing it to have a bunch of populated rooms, so they just throw you in a room maybe, and they hope that it's going to populate or something. I don't know.
We have 2 problems when we play it. The first one is that we oftentimes will play even Battlefield with more than 4 people, so we can end up with 5 or 6 people that we have in our little our band of idiots. And when we get into Medal of Honor, you just cannot find a game where you can get 4 people on the same side. Like if you have more than 2 people, you're pretty much out of luck. And secondly, they put people who have the Zero Dark 30 DLC in the same rooms as people who don't. So you'll play in normal maps with no issues for 3 or 4 maps. You'll hit the DLC, and everybody who doesn't have it is booted, and you're standing there with like 4 people in your game, and that happens every single time. And that's the frustrating part. Is I love the game, I love the gunfights, I love the way the weapons feel, and I don't really care one way or the other about graphics, and it's just matchmaking. That's it. That's the only thing that bugs me about it.
Yeah, I think we're very similar on our opinions on that, because Tim and I, we quite enjoyed playing the game as well when there was still more servers there. Right now, there seems to be very few people playing, especially the different game modes. There's more, I guess there's some TDM, but not much of the other game modes, and it is a really nice game. I like a lot of the mechanics of it, the peak and lean mechanics. Those are things that I'm hoping some of them they'll implement in Battlefield 4 maybe. Because there's definitely good things about the game. I think it just probably got shafted in the very beginning and never really had a chance. But I don't know. Hopefully it will be something that can be learned from and implemented in future games. What do you think, Tim? I know this isn't Warfighter podcast, but we've talked about it in the past, and it's a related game, so...
Yeah, no, it was a great game. And right now I'm looking on Battlelog, and I can tell you there are 4 servers right now for PC that are full. There's a Russian server, an Italian server, a German server, and 1 US server. That's it.
Wow.
And it's a shame that it seems like Danger Close did a really good job with the game. I feel like there's some things that they could have done differently with like the Frostbite engine that could have put some destruction in the game and whatnot. But I feel like EA got their hands on it and just they squished it like a grape. It was just done. So it was very frustrating to see a game that had a lot of promising factors to it, like Ola said, like with the peaking and things that we haven't really seen a lot in first-person shooters, and it just died. So.
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing to me because I feel like I'm the same way. I feel like it was a very ambitious, especially when you go back to the 2010 iteration, and we all know now that was kind of like the template for Battlefield 3.
Right.
And then you look at Danger Close doing it on their own, and I've told Bill this several times. I feel like it's such an ambitious game. Like if you try to like focus on what they did right instead of what some of the things they screwed up. Right. If you focus on the game as a whole, the basic concept, man, I think it's one of the most ambitious shooters I've seen in a while. The amount of the peak and lean, the idea of identifying yourself with your nation and things like that. I thought that was a stroke of genius, actually. But yeah, the execution was just. Hopefully they'll get it. Hopefully there will be a Warfighter 2, but I give a lot of credit to Danger Close for taking chances and doing something a little different.
And I know I hear the guns being cocked and the evil eyes looking at me by the trolls, but I really feel like if it had the backing behind it that it should have had, it could have competed with Black Ops 2 a lot better than what it did.
And you know what? I was one of the folks that got to go out to the Los Angeles playtest that Danger Close had. Mm-hmm. And the thing that bothers me about it is that when you meet the developers, you understand that people, they rip on this title like as if Danger Close did something wrong or they didn't do enough or, maybe that they're not up to par in developing. And I can tell you that's complete crap. There wasn't one person that we met that didn't care. They took pages and pages and pages of notes from us every single day. And they would literally stay up all night, tweak the PC version of the game, make us a new build, and we'd play it the next day. And that's what the part of it that bugs me is I've actually come to care about the developers that made the game on a personal level. So I know how it must feel for them to look at their game in this kind of a state and the support that it's not getting and the backing that it's not getting. And I can imagine that if I put that much effort into something that would really suck. So that part I'm... definitely feel for them, but I still do love the game, and I don't care who knows it.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think it ever really got a shot in the beginning. I've seen so many people, everyone was asking, should I get it, should I get it? I've seen so many negative responses to that I'm not surprised that there's so few people playing because, anytime someone asked me if they should get the game, I said, yeah, do it. If you keep telling your friends not to buy it, and then you can't really complain that you have no one to play the game with. So,
Well, you know what, I'm like, and just like I said, Bill and I have been playing tactical shooters for, almost 10 years, and I mean together, and you can ask him. I go through these phases where I like to experiment. Like I tried to get on the Flashpoint bandwagon. I kind of liked Flashpoint because I'm more into an authentic experience. I even like, even though it's so cartoony and stuff, like we talked about earlier, I actually did like Black Ops, and most of the Call of Duty titles I'm just not crazy about. But I feel like that's one of the problems that we have is that we are an elitist culture, man. If you play on the PC, then anybody who doesn't play on the PC are scrubs, or if you play on the PS3, and anybody who doesn't play on the PS3 is scrub. I think if we all kind of just open our minds a little bit, and I don't want to get all philosophical on you guys or anything, but really, I mean, I think if you're a gamer, be a gamer, man. Don't. And it's okay if it's like music. I love all music, but there are some bands that I just like better than other bands. So
right. Yeah, and people needed to give it a chance, but I mean, hopefully there'll be more in the future. Because, like you said, the guys who work behind the game, it doesn't really matter what game. I don't think there's ever a development team behind a game that doesn't do well financially that didn't put their heart into it. I mean, it's what these people do. They're always going to try hard. So,
well, I mean, there's a lot of Swedish accents on that Danger Close team, and I'm not saying nothing, but a lot of those folks that worked on Medal of Honor definitely were borrowed from the Dice group. So, I mean, that's to be expected, of course, but and they are related games, and it's a good thing that we've got Battlefield, because I wasn't gonna make it if we didn't have something to play until Battlefield 4. So.
Yeah.
Well, even Battlefield 3, I mean, I feel like that there's things that they didn't get right in Battlefield 3, and I know, again, people are, oh my God, did you hear what the man said? But yeah, I mean, I do. I feel like that there's, just like and again, if you play on PC, I'm sure it's a lot more advanced than on the console, but on the console, just getting together with your clan / team or whatever you want to do is so difficult to do, and maybe they're just never going to fix that. Maybe that's something that, we played SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs on the PlayStation 2, and I played a little bit on the PlayStation 3. But one of the things that they got right, I think, was the party system, or the fact that you could create your own room, go into the room, have your team there. You wouldn't have to wait in a queue. You wouldn't have to. You get your team in there and you play. And to me, that's Bill's talking about going to the playtest. When I went out and talked to the guys at PAX Prime about Medal of Honor Warfighter, that was the first thing I said. They said, "Well, we're gonna handle the clan support and things like that the same way we did with Battlefield 3." And I said, "Sir, please." When you say clan support, what you really mean is battle log, and when you say battle log, what you mean is an extended friends list, and to me, that's something that is missing. Battlefield 3 and maybe Battlefield 4 will. I think maybe Battlefield 3 showed DICE this is what you're doing right, and hopefully Battlefield 4 will be like the bulked up steroid version of what they did right with Battlefield 3. Hopefully that happens.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have sort of talked about it and said, what if Battlefield 4 is really just a Battlefield 3.5 kind of thing? And I'm saying, I don't think that would be so bad. I mean, Battlefield 3 is a pretty solid game. It certainly has some of its shortcomings. Battle log is one of them. Getting into a game with your buddies is certainly an issue. And VoIP on the PC side is non-existent really. Battlelog has something integrated, but it's not really a viable option. So there's certainly things that they can improve, and I think that even if they added some of those things and kept a lot of the core of Battlefield 3, I'd still buy it. I think, when people say Battlefield 3.5, I think of that as an improvement, not a shortcoming of what Battlefield 4 could have been.
Totally agree, man.
Right?
Yeah, because and you know what, the Major League Baseball, NHL, and NFL franchises in games have been making a living off this forever, and
yes.
it's not the same game every year, and it's just a little bit improved. They've added a couple different things and they've given it a different look and they've upgraded the things that were perhaps just average before. And if Battlefield comes out with an entirely different game, they risk the fact that maybe people won't like that. People obviously love Battlefield, so they want it to feel like Battlefield. They need to add new vehicles, possibly bigger maps and a few different concepts. But the core of the game, if it changes too much, then you risk losing that the core fan base. And I totally agree. I mean, I would be more than happy with Battlefield 3.5.
Especially if they want to come out with a new Battlefield, let's say every 2 years or so. I don't think they'll ever get to the point where they'll iterate this on a yearly basis like they do with their sports franchises. But if they want to come out with a new one, say every 2 years, and not have a large gap like we had between Battlefield 2 and Battlefield 3, then it does make sense for them to just improve upon it and add some of the features back in. I mean, we've talked in the past about what people would like to see in Battlefield 4, commander mode back in, peak and lean system kind of things. Those are a lot easier to add when you have, say, 60% of the core game already implemented. And,
right.
I think that's a positive.
But they also run into the problem now where I think they were banking on, and not to get back in the discussion, but just quickly mention it, they were banking on Warfighter carrying them through as that sort of like their off-season game for Battlefield. Mm-hmm. And when Battlefield 4 comes out, like what game is going to pick up the slack? Battlefield 4 might be the game for 2 years, you know what I mean? And that's okay because obviously like I'm more than happy to play Battlefield for 2 years, but I'm just curious if that's something that they see as a problem.
Well, here I want to throw this out there. Do you think, because of Warfighter not doing so well, that the reason why they're bringing out 2 more expansions is to kind of fill that gap?
I think that's a possibility.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the whole new 2 expansions thing, it stems from the Battlefield 3 premium website where it lists the details that come with the premium purchase. And one of the things it says that, there's 5 DLCs and then there's an asterisk and then in the lower, at the bottom in fine print it says with 2 more DLCs at a future date. Mm-hmm. So there's speculation about whether that means that there's 2 more DLCs after Endgame, whether that just meant there's 2 more after Aftermath or even 2 more after Armored Kill. So there's all sorts of different suggestions that people have made.
# Dino mode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that would be cool. Everything into this pot of chili right now, aren't you?
Well, hey, you know what? Just like I said, I mean, I guess that's why I complimented DICE on the way they've deployed the expansions and stuff like that. Because I do think that you can give your game life by doing it that way. I think you can take. Like I said, I think even in the development process now, day 1 patch is like they probably work as hard on the day 1 patch as they do on the final stages of the development of the game, because they know, like they can put all the blocks in a row and then say, well, we don't have those gaps filled. All right, no problem. Day 1 patch, and then the strategy. I mean, they've made Battlefield 3 last. Well, just like you guys were talking about, man. I'd be completely happy with Battlefield 3.5, and to knock that is crazy, especially when you think about the success of, I hate to use this as an analogy, but Call of Duty, and I hate Call of Duty mainly because of their lack of innovation, the fact that they keep giving you the same game over and over in a different box. Mm-hmm. But if you do it right, you can add longevity to that game, and I think that I've never seen a game that is as complete as Battlefield. And even though there are, just like we talked about, there's some silly things that are in some of the assignments and some of the other things, but for the most part, I think it's pretty amazing that they have made Battlefield 3 bigger than it was.
Mm-hmm. And people always don't like it when you compare Battlefield to Call of Duty, but facing facts, knowing that EA is a company that's in the business to make money, you bet your ass they're looking at Call of Duty because that franchise financially is very, very successful. So obviously that's the kind of model that EA would like to get to in some way. And I'm sure that they're aware of the fact that a lot of Battlefield players sort of hold up their noses against the Call of Duty franchise. But, you can't kid yourself and say that EA is not looking at that and seeing what's made that successful and trying to implement that in some way. And I think Battlefield 3, compared to all the previous Battlefield games, certainly has been the one with the most consistent updates of content, constantly getting new DLCs, even the premium stuff, the monthly content drops, even if it's just a silly camo and the stupid dog tag assignments, it's still something though. It gives people something new to do every couple of weeks even.
That's the key for me too, is that's what's keeping it fresh, because I get bored with games. After a while, every game, it's going to end a way that every other game you've ever played has ended. You know what I mean? Like when you play, a game of Conquest on Operation Metro, you know what's going to happen. There's really not many surprises. Although I think that with the inclusion of massive maps and vehicles, Battlefield has kind of helped that along as well. But I need those assignments, and I need those content drops constantly. And a lot of people have criticized Battlefield and DICE with tinkering with all these patches, but let's be completely honest, they're trying to perfect their game, and I think that what they need to do in order to be successful is exactly what they're doing, and not worry so much about Call of Duty. To be my personal opinion, which may be completely wrong, is that Close Quarters was a way to try and entice Call of Duty fans into Battlefield, giving them that small map, fast-paced action, and I wasn't a huge fan of Close Quarters just for that reason, because I'm like, well, where's my tank, man? Yeah. And then I'd see my tank driving by a window that I can't get out of. It's just a random tank going by. But I commend DICE for the way that they've handled Battlefield 3, and as much as it annoys me when I pick up my gun after a patch and it's I'm firing off into the sky because I can't control the recoil anymore, I appreciate the fact that they try, and for that reason alone, I think Battlefield just needs to stay the course. And with Battlefield 4, you'll notice that people are going to start seeing this as a viable option, as opposed to Call of Duty, because it's going to be innovative, and it's going to be fresh, and it's not going to be the same thing in the box every year.
Well, and you mentioned Call of Duty. There's nothing wrong with, and I wrote a little piece about this over on our blog, but I compare Call of Duty to fast food. It's the fast food of the tactical gaming world. Yeah. It's nothing fancy, but you know exactly what you're going to get each and every time you put it in. Every time you don't even have to wonder. You know exactly what you're going to get every time you play it. And to me, there's nothing wrong with having your brand. And I think all of the developers out there in tactical gaming world, I think that I think everybody has tried to emulate Call of Duty, and that is to their. I think it's been to their demise. SOCOM 4, it was a really successful, or SOCOM in general has such a rabid fan base, but they failed miserably because they tried to create a Call of Duty version of SOCOM. And again, that's one thing that DICE did right with Battlefield. They didn't try to create a Call of Duty clone and call it Battlefield 3. They stayed true to what I remember Battlefield being, and at the same time they still kind of made it sexy, and they still kind of made it rock and roll. And the single player, we talk about the multiplayer and this, that, and the other. I think even the campaign was something that was overlooked a little bit on Battlefield 3, because I thought it was a fantastic campaign, and I'm pretty tough critic when it comes to campaigns. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, the campaign was definitely actually I think a highlight in Battlefield 3 that, like you said, a lot of people don't pay attention to, because everyone's just Battlefield multiplayer and jumps right in. And it was really well done, and I hope that they continue to do that. And the other thing that I like about having all these small DLCs, it almost is it gives DICE an opportunity to experiment a little bit. And I think they did that. You alluded to Close Quarters, trying to get some of the Call of Duty players over. I think in Armored Kill, they tried to go, huge, all armored warfare and stuff. I don't know if both of those hit the mark exactly, but it gives them an opportunity to try things without completely risking ruining an entire game and 2, 3, 4, 5 years of development time to have it flop. This way, they can say, well, Armored Kill didn't sell as well, or it's not being played as much. And I think you can almost see the progression of them learning. Now, I don't know how much of the DLCs are planned ahead of time, or if there's a lot of adjustments along the way. But I think Aftermath combined a lot of the positives of the previous DLCs and discarded a lot of the negatives. So you can almost see them finding the right path, if you will.
Right.
Well, I
What's
think
nice-
that's something that I noticed with the DLCs as well was with Aftermath, and I know it's very simple, but there's like these destructible barriers that you can kind of carve your own path with, and that's something that I would like to see in Battlefield 4 as like a mainstay on most maps, and just certain things like that, like you said, they experiment a little bit, and they throw out 15 ideas with each DLC and 3 stick, but if you add that up over the course of 4 or 5 different DLCs, all of a sudden you've got 12 to 15 ideas that you can carry forward into the main game of Battlefield 4.
Yeah, and what I like about the expansion packs is that before in Battlefield 2 we had this the modding community, and it seems like we've gone through the shift with all games is that the modding community isn't big anymore. If it's just the people like DICE, they're not putting out their graphics engines and stuff like that out for the public to use, or it's just like their systems aren't able to handle it as much, for the modding aspect of it. But what we're seeing with the expansion packs, it's doing what the mods do in Battlefield 2, is that they're keeping that lifespan. They're expanding the amount of longevity for the game, and that's nice.
And EA gets to get some money out of it. I think,
and they get money out of it too.
Was I think somewhat of a risk that they took, but I think it's probably paid off quite well for them. And I think we're going to continue seeing that with Battlefield 4 and whatever future games are coming out. And it works for me because you pay for it. You know what? You get those DLCs. We're going to get 5. We may get 2 more. You know what? I don't think you can complain given how many hours we've put into this game and how much new content we've gotten. I don't know. It's always nice, and it keeps it interesting because you can only play the same maps for a certain amount of time before you get tired of them.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've always liked about Battlefield in general is just the ability to mix things up and keep yourself.
But even though you play some of the same maps every time, is that the experience is always different. You never see the same thing twice. Unless you're playing Metro, 64-man server, you're gonna see the same crap every time. But
Yeah.
For the most part, it's always different. The experiences are always different. The way that you capture a flag can always be different.
I think they really capitalized on using, like for example, and just using it as an example, Karg Island Conquest versus like Karg Island on Rush. You know what I mean? Like the game takes place in different aspects of the map, and that keeps it fresh. And for me personally, when there's a new DLC, I end up playing it constantly, and I think a lot of people do this. I play it almost exclusively for several days, maybe a week, and then all of a sudden, I end up on like Sand Crossing or something like that, and I'm like, oh yeah, and it like. It reintroduces you to that map, and it kind of like gives you a fresh look at it, and that also contributes to the longevity of the game.
And I think with the destructible environments helped out a lot with making things dynamic. It's not that linear gameplay that we see a lot in other titles. Having the ability to blow a wall out and flank around the enemy is something that we haven't really seen before in a game. It's brand new to the industry, and I think that's just what helps make Battlefield what it is today.
Just the other day, Tim, we were playing Aftermath. I think it was yesterday or maybe the day before. Probably the day before. And I'm not much of a sniper, but in that TDM round, I ended up going on a couple of the roofs several times. Mm-hmm. And they still managed to surprise me with some of the destruction that they've implemented in there, because both times that I successfully managed to parachute myself on top of a roof, as soon as I stood on a corner, some jackass from down below shot an RPG and broke down half that corner of the building, causing me to fall down. And it happened twice in a row. And it's just one of those things, it's an experience that I hadn't had in Battlefield before to that extent. And to be surprised after having put in thousands of hours into a game, that must mean they're doing something right.
Right, exactly.
I just saw a question on Twitter, actually, where they're asking what we think about Premium going over into Battlefield 4.
I think it's a given it's going to happen, but they're going to make you pay for it again, obviously. It's not going to carry over to the next game, but... I would be more than happy with Premium in Battlefield 4, because this way it's not a matter of having to buy each DLC. And I mean, it's not really a money thing so much as a convenience thing. It's just nice going like, oh, there's new DLC, and I click download and I'm done. I don't have to to go purchase it and keep track of it. It's all organized for me and it's simple.
Right.
And I would like to see it come out of the box though. Like I don't want to wait until like month 6 or whatever the case may be.
You'd like to have like a premium version of Battlefield 4.
Right. I just want to. I want to make one purchase, and then from that point on, all I need to do is download whatever it is that they come out with. I don't want to have to deal with buying add-ons and things like that throughout the entire length of the game.
Yeah. I wonder if they had that idea from the beginning, or 3 months down the road, they're like, "Hey, premium. We should do something like Call of Duty's doing. We should do some type of the same system." Because
I think I do like the idea of maybe just being able to buy it right off at the front. So you buy Battlefield 4 Premium and it's $99 instead of $59 or whatever, and you've just got it done right off the bat. You'd think that they'll probably do something like that.
I mean, but you saying that right there is if you see something for $100, are you going to want to buy it? If you see a game that's going for $59.99 and then it has a couple perks for pre-ordering it, and then 2 months down the road you pay another $50, I think that seems a little more appealing than dropping $120 on a game right away. I mean, yeah, that at some point you're going to get your money's worth out of it, nonetheless. But seeing something that's so expensive with having to put so much money down at first, it might turn some people off.
If you're not a Battlefield fan, I could see you kind of being tentative. But I think if you're a Battlefield fan, if you're going to get one of the expansion packs, you're going to get all of the expansion packs.
Right.
And so to me, it would make more sense if I'm a Battlefield fan. I would buy the premium version of the game the day that it comes out. Mm-hmm. Kind of like what Bill said. So I just wouldn't have to worry about it. It would be done. Right. But yeah, I could see where you come from. If you're just a gamer, quote unquote, and maybe you're not sure if you want to spend. Yeah, because I mean that's a lot of money for a video game at the end of the day. So
as long as there's the options, right? So that there's different packages, so you can buy it right up front. You can just buy the game and purchase premium later. As long as the options are there, so that people who are either really committed and don't mind paying it all up front, or people who aren't quite sure and would rather just buy the game and just in case it tanks or they don't like it. I think those options will probably be there.
Yeah.
Do you guys have an opinion on the shortcuts?
Oh, that pissed me off so much when I saw that. I mean, it's like I put so many hours into the jet and so many hours in the helicopter into the tank, and I spent all that time unlocking add-ons for weapons, and some guy can come in with $30 and unlock it. That kind of it ticked me off. But what when I actually sat back and thought about it for a little while, that is appealing to people who, let's say right now, the people who got this, people as I mean the younger folks who got this game for Christmas, and they come in, rank 1. They are brand new. They still smell like a new car off the lot, and then I come in and I just start owning them, destroying them. They're not going to have fun. But if they have the ability to use at least the exact same weapon, they might have the same skill, the muscle memory, the ways, the understanding of the maps. But if they at least have a chance, then I feel like that helps them out. And it also helps DICE and EA out to keep the customer wanting more. And I've seen a lot of complaints in forum posts and other chat rooms, and people are like, this isn't fun because a Colonel 100 walks in and just wipes the map. He just cleans the scoreboard and he's number 1 for 2 hours, and the guy who just got the game isn't having any fun. So I feel like for them to have those packs is nice, but it is frustrating for people who put the hour and the time in to get it.
It is, but like you said, I totally understand it, and I think the best way that I can explain it is jets. Can you imagine coming in with absolutely nothing unlocked in a jet? And I mean, we all know, and we're always in a room with someone who is a tryhard in a jet, and that person dominates a battlefield. And if you turn on a game and you go, and this was put best by somebody that a lot of people on this podcast may not enjoy, but if you've heard of Only Use Me Blade, he was trying to appeal to commentators that post videos at like 50-1 and 60-1, and in some form or fashion, if somebody goes 20-1 or 40-1 or 50-1, somebody else has to go 1-50.
Yeah,
and even if that's added up amongst multiple people, that essentially means that the people on the other team are not having fun. So although it's great that you're dominating, it's great that you're having an amazing time, the people on the other side aren't. And if they aren't having an amazing time, they're going to stop playing. And if people stop playing, you're not going to have an amazing time because there's no one to play against. So there is something to be said about etiquette on the battlefield, along with the shortcuts. I think can be used for a benefit, but there's no question that there's frustration among the people that put in the 600-700 hours to unlock everything the hard way.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you that I've just recently gone through this where I've spent a lot of hours playing on PC, and then I bought it for the Xbox and for the PS3. And starting that game over, never mind the fact that I'm still not entirely comfortable with the controls and all that, but starting the game off, and all my friends that are playing on the PS3 and on the Xbox are Colonel 30s and up, and here I'm going around like, I don't have that, I don't have this, you want C4? Nope, don't got that. It's all these things that I haven't really considered buying the shortcuts for that because I don't spend enough time, but if I was spending more time with it, they have a place, and it's not, people always get upset about pay to win. There's things like free to play, pay to win, and I think in this case though, you're not getting anything that you can't get by putting in the time. And for some people that either have already spent the time on different systems or just don't have the time to do it, because not everybody has got 300, 400 hours or whatever to dedicate to a game, there's a place for them.
Totally agree. There's a place for them, but it can be a frustrating place for some people.
Pay the iron price, not the gold. That's funny. So yeah, if we were to have 2 more DLCs, do you guys have any? I don't know if we want to get into what it might be about. I know, Tim, you said Dino mode. I think that'd be hilarious. But
I would love to see, and I think we talked about this before the podcast went live, but not necessarily any particular city, but I'd love a much more urban look at some familiar locations. I think I don't think it's an accident that a lot of the games that we play that are very violent and intense with a lot of destruction take place in places that a lot of us have never gone to. But I think it would be cool to see something in a very urban, not unlike like a Sand Crossing or something like that. But possibly with air support.
Yeah, I would love to see the bombers again. I miss the bombers from BF2. I mean, yeah, they would wreak absolute havoc and destruction because of the destruction of Frostbite 2. But I really do miss the bomber jets. I would love to see them again. I would also love to see some of the some older maps, maybe some Bad Company 2 maps put back into the mix. Maybe, I mean, we saw back to Karkan, but some of the old Bad Company maps would be neat to see.
Somewhere in Canada, Crash Rider says, yeah. Somewhere like in the fields of Winnipeg or something.
Yeah, he always likes to pick on me.
Crash Rider's in the stream.
Yeah,
hi, Crash Rider.
Crash Rider recently, and by recently I mean yesterday, made a comment about how he does his gloves for tags things, which I think you guys have heard of. But
oh yes,
he talked about how he sent them all over the world. He goes, Ireland, Netherlands, Canada, Nova Scotia, and I was like, hold on, Crash Rider.
We love you, Crash, and your little dog too.
Yeah, I've got a pair of his sexy gloves here. I accidentally stabbed him on Operation Metro in one of those situations where you knew you were going to die because there was 12 people around you, so I just hit the melee button and grabbed the first person close to me. And
it was a Rambo knife.
Yeah, it was totally a Rambo knife. But like I said, I was in the middle of a group of like 6 people, and they were all looking to kill me. They weren't even going to shoot me. They were just going to kick me to death. And I just grabbed Crash Rider at random and stabbed him. And I was like, well, there we go. I got me some gloves now.
I've alluded and I've pointed this out many times in our commentaries and stuff like that. I get stabbed way more frequently than any other person I've ever seen on Battlefield. And Bill and Crash, they stab more people than I've ever. Like, I can be having gunfights and I think I do okay. But in terms of somebody who gets more, Bill will be running around on a TDM and he gets more stabs than I get rifle kills, and I just don't understand it. I told him maybe it's just because I'm getting old and my peripheral vision's going. I literally have, I think, like 262 melee kills.
Yeah, I play with some people who are in the upper 3,000s and more in melee kills, and it's scary when they're on the other team, and it's weirdly addicting when you're on the same team. It's almost like you have to try and keep up with them and knife them as well. We've been playing with Mantis for a little bit, and he does all these videos on YouTube about him knifing pub stars and quote unquote famous people or whatever. And he just posted a video that I saw the other day, which was great, where people started chasing him, and at one point he'd just turn around and there'd be like 6 people on the other team, all with their knives out.
All with knives out, yeah.
And I actually think that it's a really fun aspect of the game. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, taking the dog tags, that's definitely a Battlefield 3 thing. And when we play, we, of course, like Bill mentioned there, we do Gloves for Tags on Tuesday nights with Crash. And it's really funny because because they chase it. Obviously, we're usually on Crash's team, so they're trying to catch Crash, and so I would say that when on Gloves for Tags, I get stabbed at least 10 times a game, and that's
dangerous to be on the same team as him
because they think you're him, and when you get stabbed, you actually taunt your opponent because you're like, "Hi, you know what? Like, I'm not Crash Rider. Like, I'm not sending you nothing." Man. We actually, I wish I'd captured this, but we had a game where I was watching 2 people literally chase Crash Rider, and to this day I don't know why he didn't turn around and shoot them, but they could have shot him at any point. They could have killed him at any single point, and we had Crash Rider in our squad, myself and Viper and somebody else, and we were chasing the chase. Like, it was like a scene out of like the awesome. Bourne Supremacy, where 2 people were chasing Crash Rider and we were chasing them, and it was just like it was like a cartoon, man. They'll chase him across the map and die just for the chance to stab him. Like, they won't even shoot him. They will chase him like when he's facing them and things like that, just trying to get that knife kill. And
that's great.
I know that he has to limit the Gloves for Tags a little bit because it's so intense that it's hard to have fun over a long period of time doing it, I think.
Yeah.
Well, plus, if you get enough people knifing him at some point, all these free gloves got to be adding up as well.
Yeah.
Well, to his credit, I started to say, to his credit, like I said, I absorb, I think, most of the knife kills when we're playing because, dude, and he will, and Crash, again, I love you, man, I really do, but you'll be like engaging another tank or something, and he'll be in the tank with you. And there'll be the idiot off to the side that has the RPG. And instead of Crash like getting out shooting the guy that's shooting you with the RPG and helping him repair the tank and all this other stuff, he will literally run over and you die, and then you go to spawn on him and he's stabbing the guy that was shooting the RPG at the tank. And you're like, thanks, Crash. Appreciate it. But anyway.
All right, well, I think we definitely probably could keep talking forever, but I don't want to make these videos too long. We should have you guys back on, though, I think, in the near future.
Most definitely.
Especially once Endgame comes out, or maybe some more information about Endgame. We should talk some more about that. What do you guys think? I think that'll be good.
I think it's
all the rumor mill.
Yeah.
And, of course, maybe we can guys on over on Battle Chatter at some point, too.
Oh,
yeah, sure.
Absolutely. We're always here. So, well.
Right in this chair. Right here, always.
In this chair. All the time.
And, Tim, I'm assuming you're a Florida fan. Do you want to talk about that? Or?
Ola, it's a great time to end the podcast. Oh, what a disappointing game. I live 10 minutes away from the University of Florida. So that was a very frustrating game to watch.
To say the least. You got any predictions with Bama and Notre Dame?
It's going to be a war zone. It's going to be a hell of a game.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be like Aftermath.
But it was funny when we went into this game. I was like, this isn't going to be fun to watch. We're going to trample over them, and then it just completely 15 seconds into the game, interception, boom. I was like, I'm dead. I just walked away.
You finished that, Tim. You were
I didn't.
saying that you gotta watch that and then play
halfway through third quarter. I told Amy just to keep me updated, and I just came and played on the computer because I was so mad.
Well, I'm a Cubs fan, so yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know anything about this whole winning thing, but I do live in the SEC, so I had to ask you about the whole Florida thing. But anyway,
next year, a lot of freshmen. We'll be good next year.
All right, and speaking of that, we'll be good next episode as well. I think probably in 2 weeks or so we'll be talking, if all things go as planned, we'll be talking to Snoov and Fake Thriller from Shoosty Bang. So
excellent.
An interesting episode as well. And we'll definitely have you guys back on. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your Saturday afternoon and coming on the show, guys.
No, man. It was absolutely our pleasure, man. Just you guys come on over and visit us at battlechatteronline.com. You can, of course, network with us on Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. And we're all in this together, kids. So shoot low and stay frosty.
There you go. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching in the chat. And this podcast will get posted on YouTube tomorrow as well as on iTunes. All the various links to everybody's online profiles. You can find everything at battlefieldpodcast.com, of course. And we'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.